everyone, and welcome back. Today we're doing a deep dive on Naughty Dog.
Ooh.
Yeah, the studio behind like some of the biggest games like ever made.
Right.
Like Uncharted.
The Last of Us.
Yeah, The Last of Us.
Huge.
I feel like you've probably at least heard of these games, even if you're like not a hardcore gamer.
Definitely.
And we've got a really in-depth analytical review here.
Okay, cool.
And basically our mission today is to try to like figure out what makes this studio tick. Like, what are some of the challenges they're facing?
Interesting.
Yeah, and what might be next for them.
Sounds fun.
I know, right? Okay, so first off, like just the sheer scale of their success is kind of mind-blowing.
Yeah.
Uncharted alone has sold over 41 million copies.
Wow.
It's a lot.
It's crazy.
It's like if every person in Canada bought a copy.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, pretty wild.
Yeah.
But it's not just about like sales figures, right?
No, not at all.
What's really impressive is like the impact these games have had on the whole industry. Naughty Dog really like raised the bar in terms of like cinematic storytelling in video games.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
I mean, like, they're known for it now.
Yeah, totally. I remember when I first played Uncharted and I was like, wait, this feels like I'm in a movie.
Totally.
But it's like a movie where I get to control what's happening.
Exactly. That's like a huge part of their success, I think.
Yeah.
Like blurring those lines between games and film.
Yeah.
And on top of that, they created these like super rich characters.
Yeah.
That are really complex and players really connect with them.
Yeah. And speaking of characters,
Yes.
The Last of Us Part 2
Huge.
was a massive hit.
Oh, yeah. I remember all the hype.
Right.
Like when it came out.
I remember that.
Yeah, it broke like all these records for PlayStation exclusives.
Wow.
And like everyone was talking about it.
Right.
Like about the story and the themes and everything.
Yeah, they don't shy away from like mature and complex narratives.
Yeah.
So we've got like cinematic storytelling,
Yes.
compelling characters.
What else is in this like secret sauce?
Well, they're also known for pushing the like technical boundaries of what video games can do. I mean, their games are like visually stunning
They are.
with these incredibly detailed worlds,
Yeah.
like really immersive environment.
It's like you're transported
Yeah,
to another world.
absolutely.
I bet some people like buy PlayStations just to play these games.
Oh, for sure, you're not wrong.
Yeah.
Like those games are seen as system sellers,
Oh, wow.
which basically means like, yeah, people will buy an entire console just to play them.
Wow.
Yeah,
That's powerful.
it is.
And that probably has to do with their close relationship with Sony, right?
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Naughty Dog is what's called a first-party studio,
Okay.
which means that they're owned by Sony.
Ah, I see.
Yeah, so that gives them access to like resources and support.
Oh, yeah, for a fact.
Yeah, most independent studios could only dream of.
Yeah, they've got that backing.
Yeah. Okay, so that explains like a good amount of their success, but this review also mentions some challenges.
Oh, really?
Yeah, that come with being a studio like this.
Okay.
I mean, it can't all be sunshine and roses, right?
True.
Yeah.
There's always got to be something.
So what are we looking at here?
One of the biggest things they've had to deal with is this thing called crunch culture.
Oh, yeah, I've heard of that.
Yeah, basically it's like these periods of intense overtime work.
Okay.
It's a problem like across the game industry, but it's been like really highlighted at Naughty Dog.
Yeah, I've heard stories about developers working like crazy hours to meet deadlines. It
Yeah.
sounds really rough.
Yeah, it's not healthy
No.
or sustainable in the long run.
Yeah, for sure.
And it's something that they've been criticized for a lot,
Yeah.
especially during the development of The Last of Us Part 2.
Okay.
Some former employees have talked about it publicly,
Yeah.
about like all the pressure and the long hours.
Yeah, it's like a tough situation.
It is.
Like you want to celebrate these amazing games,
Yeah,
but you also have to think about the people who made them.
exactly. You got to acknowledge the human cost.
Yeah, totally.
And that kind of leads us to another challenge they face,
Okay.
which is these long development cycles.
Yeah.
Naughty Dog games are known for being super polished.
Yes.
And they pay attention to all these little details.
Mm-hmm.
But that takes time.
Yeah.
Like a lot of time.
Yeah. I've waited years
I know, me too.
for some of their games to come out.
Yeah, their commitment to quality
Yeah.
means that games can take like 4 or 5 years to make.
Wow, that's a long time.
It is.
Which must be frustrating for everyone involved.
For the developers
Yeah,
and the fans.
for sure.
And there's actually another thing that the review mentions.
Okay, what's that?
It's their focus on this one specific genre,
Okay.
action-adventure.
Right.
It's what they built their reputation on.
Yeah, and they're good at it.
Oh, for sure.
But do you think sticking to one genre could, like, limit them in the long run?
That's a good question.
Right.
I mean, they've like mastered the formula,
Yeah.
but it could be interesting to see them try some other stuff,
Yeah.
especially with all the talent that they have.
Yeah, totally.
Like, who knows what they could do?
Okay, so where do we go from here?
Well, the review actually gives us some hints
Ooh, lay it on me.
about what the future might hold for Naughty Dog.
Okay.
Yeah, they've got some options,
All right.
each with like its own pros and cons.
I'm ready.
All right, let's get into it.
Okay, so what are these options?
Well, first, they could just like double down on what they already do best,
Okay.
like expand those big franchises.
Right.
We've kind of seen them start to do this with The Last of Us.
Mm-hmm.
Like the HBO show was massive.
It was so good.
Right. And there are already rumors of like a part 3.
Oh my gosh, a new The Last of Us game.
I know,
The internet would explode.
for sure.
And what about Uncharted, though?
Ooh, good point.
That feels like it's ripe for more adventures.
Totally. A new Uncharted game would be huge.
Yeah.
Especially if they made like Nathan Drake's daughter the main character.
Yeah.
Yeah, Cassie.
I could see it.
Oh, the fans would go crazy for that.
Yeah. Okay, so that's more of like what we already know and love.
Mm-hmm.
But the review also mentioned something about like new IPs.
Oh, yes.
Yeah. Like brand new worlds.
New worlds.
Yeah.
That's exciting.
It's like a whole other direction they could go.
Right.
It would let them get really creative
Yeah.
and maybe reach like a whole new audience.
Right. Like think outside the box.
Totally.
But new IPs can be risky.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
There's no guarantee that it's going to be a success.
That's true. But Naughty Dog has a pretty good track record.
They do.
If anyone can like pull it off, it's probably them.
Yeah. I'd love to see what they would come up with.
Me too.
Okay, but there's one more piece to this puzzle, right?
Oh, right.
The multiplayer thing.
Yes.
Yeah.
So they've experimented with multiplayer in the past. Mm-hmm.
But apparently they're working on like a standalone Last of Us multiplayer game.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
So like not just like a tacked on multiplayer?
No. This is like a whole separate thing.
Wow.
Yeah, like a full-blown multiplayer experience.
That's ambitious.
It is. And the rumors are that it'll have like its own story.
Really?
Yeah, and characters.
Huh.
Separate from like the main games.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah, they're going all in on this.
I mean, I can see why. Like a Last of Us multiplayer game
Yeah.
could be massive,
Huge.
especially with all the hype around the show and everything.
Right. Plus it opens up so many possibilities.
Yeah.
Like creatively and commercially.
Right?
They could even get into like the esports scene with this.
Oh, that's a good point.
Right.
Okay, so we've got potential sequels,
Mm-hmm.
new IPs,
Yes.
a big multiplayer push.
It's a lot.
It's a lot.
Yeah.
It seems like they have a lot on their plate.
They do, but that's Naughty Dog.
Right, but all this ambition comes with a lot of pressure, too. Right?
Oh, for sure. The expectations are like sky high.
Yeah.
Every new game is going to be like under a microscope
Right.
compared to all their past work.
Plus, they're not exactly working in a vacuum.
No, not at all.
Like, the gaming landscape is super competitive right now.
It's crazy out there.
Yeah.
There's so many other studios
Right.
making amazing games.
So they've got some serious competition, right?
Yeah, some of the best in the world.
Like, who are we talking about here?
Well, there's like Santa Monica Studio,
Okay.
who made God of War.
Right.
And then you've got Insomniac Games.
Okay.
They did Spider-Man
Yeah.
and CD Projekt Red.
Mm-hmm.
They made The Witcher.
Oh, yeah. Huge game.
Right. These are studios that are like constantly pushing the boundaries of what's possible.
Yeah. So Naughty Dog can't just like rest on their laurels.
No, they can't afford to get complacent.
They got to keep innovating to stay on top.
Exactly. They've got to keep evolving.
So how do they do that?
Well, that's where things get really interesting.
Oh, okay.
This review actually suggests
Yeah.
that Naughty Dog knows about all these challenges
Okay.
and they're trying to like actively address them.
Okay, so what are they doing?
Well, first and foremost, it seems like they're really focused on improving their workplace culture.
Good. I'm glad to hear that.
Yeah, it seems like they're taking the crunch culture issue seriously.
Right, because that's important.
They need to create a better environment
Yeah.
for their developers.
Happy developers make better games, right?
Exactly.
Okay, so better work environment. What else?
Well, they're also looking at like diversifying their games,
Okay.
like expanding their reach.
Yeah.
The multiplayer game is a good example of this.
Right.
It's a way to tap into that like live service model,
Mm-hmm.
which could bring in like a whole new group of players
Totally.
and generate a more consistent stream of revenue.
Right. So it's not just about the money, but it's also smart business.
It is, but that doesn't mean they're giving up on their single-player game.
Right.
They could do both.
Yeah.
Like release those big narrative games
Yeah.
alongside their multiplayer stuff.
It's all about finding that balance between
Smart.
what they're good at
Mm-hmm.
and what the industry is demanding.
It's a tough balance.
Yeah.
But it seems like they're trying to find it.
I think they're on the right track.
I do too.
And it sounds like they're also open to exploring new genres.
Oh, for sure.
And revisiting some older franchises.
Yeah, like maybe with a fresh take.
So they're not afraid to shake things up.
That's what I like about them.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah.
I'm feeling really optimistic about the future of Naughty Dog after this deep dive.
Me too. It seems like they're doing all the right things.
They have a great track record.
Yeah, and they're making smart moves.
Okay, so we've covered a lot of ground.
We have.
Let's do a quick recap.
Okay, sounds good.
All right, so big picture,
Yeah.
Naughty Dog,
Mm-hmm.
masters of cinematic storytelling. They create iconic characters.
Yeah.
And technically,
Yeah.
they are like wizards pushing the boundaries.
Like what games can look and feel like.
Exactly. They've given us these unforgettable experiences
Oh, yeah.
with games like Uncharted.
The Last of
The
Us.
Last of Us.
So good.
But they're not perfect, right?
Right.
Like they've got those challenges.
Like the crunch culture
yeah.
and the long development times.
Right. But it sounds like they're working on those things.
Yeah, definitely. They seem to be taking it seriously.
That's good.
Yeah.
Okay, so what about the future?
The future is bright.
It does sound pretty bright.
Yeah?
Potential sequels,
Hmm.
new IPs,
Yes.
a big multiplayer push.
They've got options.
They
A
do.
lot of them.
But it's not just about like what games they make.
And it's also about how they make them.
Right, and it seems like they're trying to prioritize like
Yeah.
employee well-being
Absolutely.
and finding like a path
Mm.
that's sustainable,
Yeah, for sure.
which is great to hear.
It is.
So after all this,
Yeah.
I'm curious, what kind of game would you want to see them make next?
Ooh, that's a tough one.
Right.
I'm always up for like a new adventure.
Yeah,
So a brand new IP would be pretty amazing.
that would be cool.
Yeah. But I also wouldn't say no to another Uncharted.
Right.
I think there's still like a lot of potential there.
Yeah, totally.
What if they made like an Uncharted RPG or like a sci-fi epic?
Yeah.
Like the possibilities are kind of endless.
Right. That's what makes them so exciting.
Exactly. They're not afraid to take risks.
Yeah, and try new things.
Mm,
I think that's a great takeaway from this whole conversation.
I agree.
It's not just that they make good games.
Right.
It's that they're constantly evolving,
Yeah.
pushing the industry forward.
They're definitely a studio to watch.
Yeah, for sure.
Mm.
Well, huge thanks to you
Of course.
for all these insights.
My pleasure.
It's been so fun, like, exploring the world of Naughty Dog with you.
Always happy to talk about games.
Yeah, and for everyone listening, we hope this deep dive has given you a better understanding of, like, what makes Naughty Dog so special,
Yeah.
the challenges that they face, and the exciting possibilities that are ahead for them.
For sure.
Maybe this has even given you some ideas
Yeah.
for your own dream Naughty Dog game.
I hope so.
Until next time, keep exploring
Keep playing.
and keep diving deep.